Of course, the tag title reign is really going to lay the groundwork in the foundation because we're on a collision course for WrestleMania. What made that program most compelling to you? Just let's go Cena, Cena sucks, and the old school fans who like Shawn, or is there something different?
No, I think that it was two of the most popular and controversial characters in the history of WWE working together, but knowing that, well, okay, well, one of these guys is the champion. The other guy is a former champion. So if I'm a fan and I'm a fan of one or the other, you've got to ask who's better, who should be champion right now. And if you're the diehard Shawn Michaels fan, then you're saying, man, Shawn Michaels is the guy. And if Shawn only had the opportunity at Cena, he would be the champion again. So with all of those things, again, it kind of writes itself because it's in your face. And it's easy to do. It's can't ignore it.
Let's talk a little bit about the main event, WrestleMania. What a big moment it is. You know, John Cena's been the man in '05, in '06. Now here he is the man in '07. And he's got a super elaborate ring entrance. There's a race car type look here with a Ford Mustang speeding around the streets and turning those corners and then driving through the glass. I mean, it was a really impressive entrance. What do you remember of putting this together? Whose idea was this? I mean, this is one of the more elaborate entrances in wrestling history.
Yeah, it was. And it'll also blow your mind even more to make it a little more elaborate and more crazy. John Cena drove all that.
Wow.
All that stunt driving, all that crazy driving, that was all John. It was shot several nights before in like at 3 o'clock in the morning when they were able to shut down all the streets so that we could shoot overhead and had helicopters and whatever. I don't think drones were a thing yet at that point, but we had cameras everywhere and able to shoot that thing. So that part of it was done. And then, then you're thinking to yourself, God, I hope it's nice weather on the night of the event. Then coming down the ramp, that was this to me, that was the scariest part.
Yeah.
They wanted to do a stunt driver that wore the helmet that you could then switch John into, and John flat out refused. John wanted the continuous shot and to go through the glass and to stay right on him and get out and see that was all John Cena. And it all was because John just wanted to do it. You know, from my vantage point, I was scared to death because it was John Cena in a car going way too fast. But John's a great driver, so he loves that and he made it work. And that adds something to it. It's another level of respect.
Yes.
That you can handle this huge muscle car. It was Ford Field. It was a Ford. It was something that they really wanted to do to spotlight the Ford brand. And I think that we accomplished that. So it was pretty cool. But to me, it was even cooler. No matter what, you know, the whether it be the dirt sheets or the fans or whoever, the skeptics, oh, that wasn't John Cena driving. Yeah, it was. And it was scary. You know, one wrong move and it's a bad night.
Yeah. Not only for John, but for everyone. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things could have gone wrong here. And thankfully
Yep.
that did not happen. You know, when I hear that story, I sort of think about, you know, we've heard from the Hollywood section of the world, guys like Tom Cruise would, oh, he does his own stunts, that sort of thing. Do you think that was what John was thinking? Like, hey man, I'm kind of out here doing my own stunts every night anyway. I'm not going to have somebody else do this for me, especially when I like to drive. I mean, anybody who's listening to this knows that John's a big car collector and car enthusiast. So, but he's had supercars and hypercars and everything in between. You think that's the thinking? He wanted that sort of pride of I do my own stunts.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I always kind of chuckle at that, and I find it Tom Cruise does his own stunts. Yeah, okay, great. He's hooked in 9 different ways from Sunday into
Yeah.
every device, and there's not a thing that could ever possibly happen to him. And he goes along for the ride. It's like a amusement park ride for him. The danger of being out there without a net, it's a completely different situation, and I think that's where John was in this. And yes, it is a pride thing. Yes, it is be able to say, no, that was me. That wasn't someone else doing that, and the danger involved. And then as soon as you do that, people will scoff at it, discount it, try to make it seem like it wasn't as dangerous as it actually was. But, if you can do it, it's always better. And it's, it is what it is. Like the time that Undertaker drug Hulk Hogan behind on the motorcycle. Michael Hayes and I stood next to each other and went, looks like fun. I want to go next.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. It's just different.
Something else a little different is a British fan hit the ring during the main event. So John Cena is in there working his ass off with Shawn Michaels, the main event of the biggest show of the year. And here comes the fan. Mike Chioda's the referee. He's going to grab a front face lock on the fan. Meltzer would say Shawn Michaels wanted to jump in, but was motioned not to. The fan started taking his clothes off down to his Union Jack underwear. Jimmy Tillis grabbed him in a choke and threw him over the guardrail. In the ring, Chioda wanted the match to start, but Michaels sat on the top turnbuckle and wasn't going to start until the guy was gone. It was funny as Michaels mouthed, I've got a job to do, as he's kind of upset. What do you remember of this? I mean, this has got to be, here you were worried about the stunt. And now that's not like immediately, wait, what is this?
It happens. I mean, those things, they happen. Take care of it, you move on. You don't dwell on it. This is kind of sad to say, but especially at that point in my career, there have been so many through my lifetime, especially back in the territorial days, that if you didn't have somebody hitting the ring, something was wrong. So kind of another day at the office. We just handled it a lot differently as we got older and realized that most of the time somebody gets into the ring, especially with the WWE event, and they don't, they're not going to do anything, man. They get in there, they just want to be in there.
Right.
So, it's a different mindset, completely different mindset than it ever used to be. Nobody's going to go in there wanting to stab the heel or anything like that. They just want, hey, I got in the ring, yay.
Let's talk a little bit about the crowd reaction to John Cena. Unfortunately, despite the great entrance and all the effort, boy, they are just brutal to him at this show. He's booed more than anybody else on the entire show, but he's also the most recognizable face and selling the most merch. Is that hard to reconcile? Like, how is he selling the most action figures and the most title belts and the most t-shirts and hats? Oh my. And the fans are still reacting this way. Is that just that one? I mean, how do you make that make sense, Bruce?
Listen to your question. What you just said. He got the biggest reaction of the night. That's why they cared.
Okay.
They cared. They cared enough to boo him louder than anybody else on the card. They care. Whether they were booing him or cheering him.
There was a
The
reaction.
boos were a little deeper. Cheers had a higher pitch to them. You heard the boos louder because of the cheers were just younger and not as strong and deep. They care. They cared about John Cena. That's why. That's why it was number one in merchandise sales. That's why everything that he did, that's why people were coming out to see him and support him. And they weren't supporting him, they were booing him. The hell they weren't supporting. They were coming to see him, to boo him. That's support. Thank you very much.
Well,
So yeah, man, he was getting the biggest reactions every single night, bar none.